Okay, so what is your name, content area, grade level, and some schools you have taught at?
Name is Jeff Brown. My content area is social studies, primarily government and economics, AP economics. I'm only taught at Chaffee High School. Do you need to know how long I've been teaching?
Or 26 years?
28 years.
28
well,
years.
29 if you count in 1 year as an intern teacher, so 29 years.
29.
Primarily seniors.
Primarily seniors. So what is your position on standardized testing, and should teachers focus more on a student-centered approach or a teacher-centered approach?
I actually like standardized testing in conjunction with other measurements of achievement. I think that a standardized test by itself does not show learning exclusively. I do think if you take the results from a standardized test and combine it with work in other areas, I think you get a much better picture. But yeah, standardized test is what it is. It allows the teacher to compare, students, their effort, their level, and to some degree what they've been able to take from the class.
Okay. And do standardized tests affect your control in the classroom, and in what ways?
They do in advanced placement economics, absolutely. I have to keep on a rather rigid schedule of making sure that I have touched on all of the content areas that the exam would cover, that the students have at least mastered the writing or graphing skills necessary for the exam, and also to make sure that there's an opportunity for the students to demonstrate critical thinking, because the exam changes from year to year, and I guess I'm going off track from what standardized state testing is, but still I think it's important to point out that in advanced placement tests there are elements of questions that require critical thinking, so at some point in my instruction I have to build that in to the overall curriculum.
Okay. And in your opinion, are standardized tests fair and equal, and do you see a problem with the way information is perceived? So like an example would be urban areas may perceive information differently than rural, more farm-oriented areas. Is that a problem in your opinion, or no?
First of all, I think standardized tests by and large diminish, or I should say they don't take into account the backgrounds of the students that we have. As you well know, at Chaffee it's a Title I school. Many of our students have very little background, particularly in the social studies. So to judge them solely on knowledge and of their particular the subject matter, I think is mistaken. We're not, we're saying, well, they don't understand economics or they don't get government. Having taught adult school government, I can say, there's some very capable people who just, because of their lack of exposure to what an average, normal, everyday, middle-class person would have opportunity to have access to, they're starting from behind. I like a standardized test that would measure growth and learning, which is difficult, but it would be nice. So lacking information would be, where are they starting? And I think that leaves us, we're not given pretty much a point with standardized testing of where the student is when they come into my classroom. So we can measure how they've gone from, let's say, absolutely zero knowledge of government to maybe they understand the 3 branches. And for them, that's an entirely new concept. Maybe they've gotten as far as federalism. Again, those are things that people who are middle class, grown up here in the United States, in a traditional family, probably come into their senior year understanding.
Okay. And so what is your opinion and background knowledge for magnet schools?
I know very little about magnet schools, but I am concerned because the establishment of magnet schools tends to favor those students whose parents are heavily involved in their education, in in their overall life and development. I think that while I applaud that, I like to think I was that kind of a parent myself. That's not reality. Reality is that most of our students that we have at school have parents who either are caring for younger siblings, have to work themselves, or there are lots of other distractions. And so to segregate, because again, part of what we try to do in our with these students that we have, part of what we try to do is group activities, group learning. And part of this group learning is the opportunity of these kids that, let's say, don't have as much access to materials or information or knowledge and background to partner up with kids that do. And the kids that do at the same time kind of get an open eye, their eyes open as to, gee, wow, there's a girl that has to walk 3 miles to school every day. Here's a guy who has to work, and might be, late to class the next day because he worked till midnight or 1 o'clock. Gee, I didn't have to do any of that when I was in school. So, and it kind of, having been drafted, my point is school's the last bastion where basically social classes and economic classes can mix, and people can see, where other people come from.
So with that stance, do you think that the kids should be confined to certain districts? Meaning, so if you have Chaffee District, if they fall within a certain boundary, do you think that they are forced to go to that district, or if they have the opportunity to go to a better district?
I think they should stay in the school district. Now,
Okay.
in our high school district, we have 8 or 9, I believe we have 8 comprehensive high schools. Can they go with any of those high schools in our district? Yes, I don't see anything wrong with that. But we're talking about a large geographic area. Why should they leave that geographic area to go outside of it? No, I don't think they should. I mean, this is where they live. This is where they, this is their community. Whether they go to Chaffee, Ontario, or they go to Altaloma, or even Rancho, they want to drive that far, okay, but it's still our community. I don't think they should be leaving our community. I think that's wrong. And, if they're going to run away from reality, at what point are they going to finally have to stop and face what the rest of the world is like? You can't hide forever.
Absolutely. All right, well, Jeff Brown, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right.
I gave